Indiana Jones Stunt Spectacular and the Muppets. For information or reservations, call 1-407-W-Disney.
Notre Dame prepares for Penn State tonight at 10.
Good evening, I'm Hugh Downs.
And I'm Barbara Walters, and this is 2020.
From ABC News, around the world and into your home, the stories that touch your life. This is 2020 with Hugh Downs and Barbara Walters. Bo Jackson, superstar or Superman, football, baseball. He's one of the most recognized sports figures in America today.
Do you ever surprise yourself on the athletic field?
Never.
Tonight, his private side and the personal goal that matters most. What makes Bo run? And 2 weeks ago, we showed you emotional farewells of members of the Tennessee National Guard leaving for Saudi Arabia. Tonight, part 2. Their first days on foreign soil, the conditions, the routine, a sense of duty and regret.
To tell you the truth, if I knew then what I know now, I would have never joined up.
Tom Gerald on Mothers and Fathers in a Faraway Land. Those who serve. Bottled water. In commercials, looks fantastic. Hefty price. Millions swear by it. But in a taste test, can people really tell the difference?
I don't know. I really can't tell you. I don't know.
And how pure is it? Where does it come from? John Stossel investigates the industry. Is bottled better? Plus, she lost her fight to keep baby M. Whatever happened to surrogate mom Mary Beth Whitehead? Those stories tonight, November 16th, 1990.
Well, the big question is bottled water really better? All of us can get it by turning on the faucet, but now millions of us, and the number seems to be growing daily, prefer bottled water.
Yeah, enough people, in fact, to make bottled water a multi-billion-dollar industry. Tonight, John Stossel puts bottled water, probably including your favorite brand, to the test. Where does it come from? Is it worth the money? And in a taste test, can people really tell the difference? Or is one of the best things in life still free?
Good old water. We can't live without it, so it's a good thing we have so much of it. But it makes you wonder, since most of us can get all the drinking water we need, almost for free, why do people pay as much as $2 a bottle for it? That's more than we pay for milk. No product in the beverage industry is selling faster than bottled water. How do these water sellers get people to pay so much for something we could get for nothing? Well, good advertising is part of it.
It's perfect. It's Perrier.
Perrier was first. Somehow, Perrier convinced Americans that it was cool to order in restaurants not water or even carbonated water, but French carbonated water. Now it's a $3 billion industry. Evian tells restaurant owners, if you serve tap water, you're losing money.
Introducing Coors Rocky Mountain Sparkling Water.
Now beer companies are starting to bottle it. And this year, Pepsi introduced H2O. And Coke is rolling out a water called Clarté.
These waters have a certain chicness to them. That
Stan Seibenberg says he makes $1 million a year just dealing in water. He owns the Water Center in Edison, New Jersey. Here he sells waters from all over the world. Waters like Fountain of Youth.
Ponce de Leon's grandson, 19 times removed, is the gentleman behind the company.
I'm Ralph Camacho, Ponce de Leon.
We found him at this fancy department store promoting his water.
Ponce de Leon, yeah. So he's part of your family? I am the 18th and 19th generation away from it.
Unless it works, you know, it's not fair to us aging ladies. What can I tell you?
Usually claims for bottled water are more reasonable. They're mostly about purity.
This bottled water is pure perfection.
I can understand why these ads are effective. After all, tap water hasn't been getting very good publicity. Yet while all these stories may be true, health experts we talked to said for the most part, the public water supply in this country is surprisingly good. Yet what's in some bottled waters might surprise you.
Floating materials, debris, organic contaminants.
Tom Perko works for bottled water companies. They pay him to help them sell their products. Yet even he admits that bottled water isn't necessarily better.
You can't tell what's in the water, you can't tell where the water comes from, and you can't automatically assume that it's safer.
The first question is, what's the source? The Fountain of Youth label suggests Ponce himself scoops water from an outdoor spring. Well, it is spring water, but it comes from a pipe in this garage. And the garage, by the way, is in Maine, not in Florida, where Ponce was. Glaciers are big this year. Glacier water. Now that looks clean.
Unless you've walked on a glacier and have seen the kind of contamination that glaciers are subjected to.
Recent tests of a brand called Canadian Glacier found trichloroethane in it. That's an additive used in spot removers. Canadian Glacier says they'd already recalled those bottles because the caps were loose. And of course, this year we learned that carbonation added to Perrier had benzene in it. The benzene's now filtered out, but since this was discovered only by accident, it makes you wonder who's watching this stuff.
Bottled water isn't subject to the same kinds of regulations that tap water is subject to. The EPA has extraordinarily rigorous standards for tap water.
Meaning bottled water is watched less than tap water?
No question about that.
The people who bottle water will tell you their water is tested constantly. And this may be true, but who knows? Because most of the testing is honor system. They inspect themselves. Sometimes the government runs checks, but not often. Most tap water is tested more often. The EPA requires it. Here in Miami, for example, the Waterworks does 53 different tests every single day to make sure the water's safe. It doesn't look so great. In fact, it's cloudy because there are finely ground seashells in it. The shells won't hurt you, but it's tough to convince people here.
I think we're killing ourselves with tap water.
I don't want to get poisoned from the Miami water.
Some people are so upset about Miami's tap water, they use bottled water to wash vegetables with.
Lily.
And tap isn't even good enough for the pets.
You want water? Here you go. Got clean water.
And the dog can tell the difference, yes. You bet.
But if Florida's tap water is so bad, it's ironic that some Florida bottled water companies use it as a source. This brand, for example. The label doesn't say it's made from Florida tap water, but it is. Or how about Glacier Springs? There's a glacier on the label, but its source is the Biscayne Aquifer. What that means is Miami tap water.
All they do in some cases is simply run them over a carbon filter to take away the effects of the chlorine.
And then charge much more for it and give it a fancy
400
name.
times, 500 times, 600 times more than tap, when it's exactly the same product.
Great Bear, owned by Perrier, does this with one of its big sellers. The source? Teterboro, New Jersey tap water. Teterboro, by the way, gets its water from the nearby Hackensack River. Along its banks, I don't think they've ever seen the polar bears you see on the label. So, some bottled water is made from tap water. The most famous brand gets its carbonation from a contaminated source, and sometimes things get in because the caps are loose. Makes you wonder what else might be in these bottles. So we ran some tests. First we checked for chemicals, then for bacteria. Florida International University did the chemical tests. We sent them 38 bottled waters and a few samples of tap. After weeks of testing for 50 different possible contaminants, they found good news. None of the waters contained dangerous chemicals, and all but one met the government's drinking water standards. The only failure was this Yugoslavian water, which had triple the salt allowed by U.S. law. Stan Seibenberg had sold us that water. This one is labeled salt-free in English, but in Serbo-Croatian, it says it's got salt in it. Isn't that conning people?
Well, I don't manufacture the water, I don't bottle the water, I just sell it.
In addition to testing for chemicals, we also tested for bacteria. Biologists at Northeastern University and at the EPA did these tests. Here we found problems. Most of the bottled waters contained lots of bacteria, way above what you find in city water. This brand had almost 18,000 colonies. This brand, 61,000. The worst was a Spanish import, Cabré.
This had counts the likes of which we had never seen before, in the vicinity of 300,000 bacteria per milliliter.
The companies say they have tests that show no bacteria problems. Experts say it's not surprising that bacteria counts are high because there are lots of chances for bacteria to get into bottled water. It could be in the source. It could get in during processing, or the bottle itself may have been contaminated.
With tap water, however, bacteria is seldom a problem because tap water is chlorinated. Also because it's always moving. This doesn't give bacteria a chance to grow. But bottled water just sits there. Still water is a great home for growing bacteria. And that may be why we got such high counts in our test. We didn't test water from the factory. We bought these bottles off store shelves where they may have been sitting for a while. Of course, that's the way you buy it.
There is an opinion in the scientific community, the people who professionally look at water, that water to avoid contamination should actually be age-dated, just like milk, that it should be refrigerated.
What do the bottlers say about all this? Bill Deal speaks for the Bottled Water Association.
Bottled water turnover is very rapid, and the studies that have been done by several professors in the last year have never proven that turnover or shelf life, that there was any shelf life to bottled water, that there was any bacterial growth, there was anything that contributed to health concerns.
But we found bacteria.
You may have, but I dare say that they probably were not health-related bacteria or had any levels of health concerns.
He has a point. We don't mean to scare anyone. A high bacteria count doesn't automatically make you sick. You take in plenty of bacteria every time you eat a salad, for example. This stuff is grown in dirt, after all, and our bodies can usually handle that amount of bacteria. What the tests show, however, is that just because it comes in a sealed bottle doesn't automatically make it cleaner than tap. So if it isn't cleaner, does it at least taste better? Actually, most people who buy the stuff say they buy it not because they're worried about purity, but because it tastes good. Certainly better than tap.
That's what the average consumer says, yes.
As this is a taste test, we ask that you
Maybe the average consumer's being fooled. We hired a professional taste test company.
For your honest opinion.
They assembled a group of 50 people and paid them to taste and rate 12 different waters. These included some of the best-selling bottled waters and 2 samples of tap, one from New York, one from Los Angeles. Which water is the best?
0 equals hate, 100 equals love.
Everybody got very serious about all this. Would the expensive sparkling waters do better than cheap seltzer? And would the bottled waters do better than tap? To give bottled water every advantage, we didn't pick these 50 people at random. Instead, we chose people who already buy bottled water. Surely these people would like their bottled waters more, wouldn't they? Nope.
Compared to tap water, Great Bear is just better?
Definitely better. It's got a clearer taste, I think.
According to this taste test.
Yeah, I knew it.
You loved New York City tap water.
Did I?
You hated Great Bear, which is what you buy. How can this be?
I don't really know. I don't know. I really can't tell you. I don't know.
I should point out that one bottled water, that Fountain of Youth stuff, did slightly better than New York Tap. And at the bottom of the ratings were Sparklettes and, worst of all, Los Angeles tap water. Finally, for those of you who like bubbles, how'd the sparkling brands do? Here the results were close. The winner was Schweppes, followed by Canadian and Poland Springs. The best seller, Perrier, the most expensive of the 6, did the worst. It's curious. For some reason, people will pay more for what they like less.
You said you
This
buy
woman buys Perrier, but rated it last.
Why would you buy what you don't like? I mean, you said it smelled bad and has an off taste.
What are you doing to me here? Ah!
Looking at your industry, it seems to be a huge con job. You're selling people water for 400 times the price when it's no better than tap water.
If it was conning people, we wouldn't have a 500% growth rate over the last 10 years. Consumers willing to pay for something, and if it means profit for a company, whether it be a soft drink, an alcohol, or a bottled water company. That's the American way.
I love this piece. I have so many friends who drink bottled water. So, just between you and me, is there any reason to buy bottled water?
Yeah, I don't mean to overstate the case. If you live in the country and get your water from a private well that nobody tests, I think it's prudent to drink bottled water at least some of the time.
Is it snobbery?
Sure, people make a lot of money selling snobbery. And I think some people can taste the difference. On our test, a few of the people liked their favorites.
On the other hand, now that people are drinking less, I mean, you know, you don't want to go into a restaurant or to a cocktail party and say, give me some water from the glass, and if you can say, I'll have some Perrier or Evian or whatever, it does cut down on drinking booze.
Alcohol.
Yeah.
But why not say, give me water in a glass?
Yeah, well, so from now on we say just put that tap on and let's go, right?
Not?
Yeah. Well, I'm sure we haven't made any difference in people buying it. They're going to go right out and do it.
That's right.
Well, here's to you.
Maybe a few will think twice.
You've made me thirsty, but thank you, John. Later in the program, a man for all seasons, Bo Jackson, is a superstar of both baseball and football, and Stone Phillips discovers what makes Bo run. But next, 2020's continuing coverage of one unit of the National Guard. Tom Jarrell has followed them from Tennessee to Saudi Arabia. How are they doing? We'll find out right after this.
2020, brought to you by Subaru.
The Subaru legacy is a lot larger than the older Subaru. But people still think we're small and boxy. The Subaru legacy is plush and comfortable. But people still think we're just basic transportation. With 93% registered in the last 10 years, still on the road. We hope our old image wears out a lot faster than our cars do.
Did you know? A lot of businesses didn't get the big savings other long-distance companies promised. So they're switching back to AT&T Pro Watts, our discount calling plan. With Pro Watts, you get extremely competitive prices and automatic discounts on international and all AT&T calling card calls. What's more, Pro Watts uses your regular phone lines. With all this and AT&T quality, what are you waiting for? Competitive price, another AT&T advantage.
I want to fly in business class. My company only pays for coach. So I fly business class for the price of coach. It's called beating the system. Of course, you can't do it on just any airline.
Now till December 15th, when you buy an unrestricted domestic coach ticket on TWA, you can reserve a confirmed seat in our business class for the price of coach.
You pay for coach, you sit in business class, and it isn't even your birthday.
TWA's business class. We did it first, we do it better.
What do you give a man who has the spark, the style, the edge? What do you give a man who has the look, the touch, the smile? Preferred stock, the extra smooth cologne from the House of Stetson. The new, the now, the gift. Preferred stock, the extra smooth cologne for an extra special man.
Saturday, Vietnam in the summer of '69.
Are you attracted to me?
Anytime.
You don't want me to move in with you? Are McMurphy and Beckett heating up?
What about McMurphy? I never thought of you that way. What, are you sleeping with him?
China Beach, then. Now you know who done it, but do they?
Just having a little fun. We've arrested Ben Horn.
Ow!
I don't think Ben Horn killed Laura Palmer. Cooper, I've had enough of the dreams, the visions, the dwarfs, the giants. We got hard evidence.
Twin Peaks, Saturday.
Tonight, America has over 200,000 U.S. troops in Saudi Arabia, and many more on the way. None more surprised to be there than those who are members of the National Guard, part-time soldiers who until recently saw themselves only as citizens, and now they're troops in a hot spot. 2 weeks ago, Tom Jarrell put some faces on some of these citizen soldiers from Central Tennessee. They let us into their lives during their emotional last days and their final hours at home. We got to know Joyce McConnell, a mother of 2 young children, often fighting back tears. And we got to know Jackie King, an idol to his wife and 3 loving sons. They and all of the 251st are now in Saudi Arabia. And tonight, Tom picks up the story of those who serve.
This is the Saudi Arabia we are now most familiar with. Awesome armies face to face, poised with weapons of mass destruction.
Left, over there!
These are the front line and front page warriors. But they are only a fraction of the total force of 230,000 U.S. servicemen and women deployed in Saudi Arabia. In this prolonged confrontation, National Guard units have been called to provide vital support services for these frontline troops. The 251st is just such a unit. When we last saw the 251st Service and Supply Company from South Central Tennessee, they were trucking to Fort Campbell, Kentucky for 3 weeks of intensive training.
I want 32 people on that bus, and that's all.
First Sergeant Jackie King had shed his police chief's uniform for combat fatigues and was giving orders as the top sergeant.
Company. Transport. Platoon sergeant, take charge of people.
Joyce McConnell, our mother-turned-soldier, now practiced for a chemical attack. She faced a tough Army requirement for getting into full protective clothing in just 8 minutes.
Zip it up.
The nearly 200 Tennessee men and women, civilian soldiers, were taught about combat weapons with live ammunition drills. Then it was off to Saudi to play their part in Operation Desert Shield. They flew the Atlantic, enjoying hot meals, cold drinks, and 4 movies aboard a chartered commercial airliner, and wound up here, temporarily based closer to the sea than the Saudi desert. The air trip put them in Saudi Arabia weeks ahead of their heavy equipment, shipped slowly by sea. So they camped and waited, and faced the harsh reality that here they were no longer hometown heroes. They were just a tiny unit lost in the inevitable confusion caused by the biggest military buildup since the Vietnam War. The 251st was just one of 4 companies packed into an open-sided warehouse, which covered an area nearly the size of a football field. 1,000 soldiers were crammed together on folding cots and sleeping bags. Joyce McConnell now found herself bunked right in the middle of a mass of humanity.
First thing you think about is home, you know, and think, my God, how did I get into this?
There's no privacy.
None.
How do you change clothes?
Under the covers.
Slip in your sleeping bag and squirm around?
Right. Looks obscene, but it works.
There was not exactly a welcome mat waiting for the 251st. For 2 days, there was no hot food available. The guardsmen survived on the Army's MREs, combat rations packed in plastic.
You can put this water with this, and they swell up and get real soft, and they make peaches.
Ironically, this laundry unit was forced to wash their own clothing by hand. Their heavy equipment was still somewhere at sea.
Thinking about how nice it would be if I had a washer and dryer. It's amazing how you don't appreciate the things you have till you're in a situation like this.
Most of the available public telephones were broken. It took 4 hours of waiting online to reach the one that worked, so the folks at home could hear the latest news from Saudi Arabia.
The food ain't fit to eat. Everybody's getting diarrhea and getting sick. And we're crammed in there in a warehouse, crammed in there like sardines, living in there with the pigeons. It stinks. But other than that, everything's okay.
Nobody had promised them a tea party, but morale was sagging when they realized this would be home for at least a month. As the 251st set up a daily routine, small things became very important. Private Dana Whitten, a 21-year-old college co-ed, was forced to halt her classroom studies by the guard call-up. To ease through the transition, she enjoyed long, leisurely walks across the docks to the field showers. In her definitely non-military attire, Dana could kick back and feel like a co-ed again.
It's the highlight of my day, just to get over here and take a shower and relax for a few minutes.
Dana quickly found she was living in a highly religious culture where the faithful pray 5 times a day and women must be fully covered in public. A military order was given to Dana to cover up. No more shorts while outside. After a week of sitting around, members of the unit took field trips to see units similar to their own in operation.
Right now, we know the generator.
They visited a regular Army unit from Fort Bragg, North Carolina. Jackie King listened incredulously as the sergeant divulged valuable trade secrets for keeping the washing machines running.
You got to jimmy rig it, you can use Coke cans and everything else with it, to make it work. It'll work, but how long it'll work, that remains to be seen. Save you water.
Joyce McConnell was dismayed at the mounds of dirty laundry and at the news that this unit alone had already processed 70,000 bags, a task she would soon be facing.
Ain't no use in looking down. Honey, honey. Ain't no discharge on that ground. Hey, hey. Ain't no use in looking down. Ain't no discharge on the ground. Honey, oh baby.
Back at the warehouse on the docks, the long, hot days stretched into weeks, and the 251st waged a battle of their own with boredom. Top Sergeant Jackie King, presiding from his desk, handcrafted from discarded shipping crates, became the central figure in managing the constant complaints. How challenging is this new job for you as far as being on active duty?
It's been a tremendous challenge. It's a lot rougher than it is at home. Every problem we've got comes through me before it goes to company commander.
Are you enjoying it?
Well, it's something to do. I mean, this keeps me busy. Time's going by real fast.
That's more than a lot of guys are saying.
Right.
But Dana Whitten didn't share the sergeant's enthusiasm. She sought solitude on the jetty rocks. You did join the National Guard. You did accept the terms of joining. I mean, this is just the price you pay, isn't it?
To tell you the truth, if I knew then what I know now, I would have never joined up. I wouldn't have. I have pride in my country and everything, but my experience so far has been really, really terrible.
Are you demoralized? Are you feeling sort of down and out because of being here?
No, not me. No.
Tell me how you feel.
I feel great.
Do you have a sense of commitment as far as why you're here? To preserve oil fields, to stop a dictator?
I fully believed in the reason why we were called over here. But I'm afraid it's kind of diminishing. With the conditions, it's hard to be motivated. I know regular Army people are probably more used to these type of conditions. They're in it full time. The way I look at it, maybe we don't have a right to complain, but we're not used to it. We're part-time people. We have regular jobs and regular, things going at home.
Gary, Rochelle, Bobby Davis, Weaver. Wait a minute, Weaver. I believe that's it. Jackie King. Clover.
Tennessee, Tennessee, there ain't no place I'd rather be. Baby, won't you carry me back to Tennessee?
Jackie, as far as home and thoughts of home, what are you missing most personally?
Well, I miss all the basketball games for one. The boys are playing this year. My oldest boy, Jay, he's a senior. Rod, he's a junior. They really play good together, and I'm going to miss watching them play ball, that's for sure.
I'm sure they miss you not being there.
Yeah, I hope so. Because I sure miss them.
Is your family going to be able to hold together with Mama gone?
I think so. They're very strong, and it's hard. It's going to be very hard.
As this military face-off in the desert is written and rewritten by American and Iraqi leaders, the 251st Service and Supply Company must wait in the wings, unsure of the final role they will play. Whatever happens, no one will escape unchanged. Their only comfort is in thoughts, lovingly inscribed on a page. These are the lifelines that hold the families together.
Dear Tim, Makisha, and Chad, hi. I love you and miss you very much. I know you can't quite grasp what's going on or why. All I can tell you is that I'm very sorry to have to be away from you. How's school going for you both? You know how I feel about your studies, so work hard and do well.
Dear Mom, I hope you are having a good time, just for right now anyways. All I want to say is I love you, and I hope you come home soon. We are still praying for you. Your daughter, Makisha. From Chad. He says he loves you, but is a little...
Makisha and Chad, I want you to know that when I joined the Guard, I didn't expect to have this situation happen. I thought by going into the Guard, I could get a good education, a nice job, and we could be able to afford the things we wanted out of life. But I realize now that what you needed most was me, my love and my care. I pray that someday you'll better understand the situation and the reasons for my joining the National Guard, and who knows, just maybe you'll end up being proud of me. Tim, babe, please take care of yourself and my babies. Hang tough and pray that I'll be home soon. I love you all. Joyce.
Oh, boy. That may be even rougher on people who aren't part of the regular military.
Really service, yes.
Are they going to be called on for another 3 months, do you think, Tom?
Hugh, they went over on a 3-month hitch. They all are reasonably sure they'll be there for 6 months. They do have a provision to extend them rather automatically.
But between the cultural differences and restrictions and the uncertainty about when they're going to get home, that must be very tough.
They're so isolated, too. I mean, they don't get away from this one port area. They don't get into town. They don't have any recreation time.
And there seems to be a lot of chaos, too. Is it more chaotic for the Guard?
I think
than
there
the
is, because the Guard, they're very upset at the way the regular Army has integrated them in as regular Army forces. They feel the timing was poor, and they haven't really been looking out for them.
Yeah. Well, we sure wish them the best. Thank you, Tom.
Well, I still have a few tears, so change of scene. Coming up, a young man whom everyone seems to agree is the most talented athlete in America today. That's Bo Jackson, a superstar in baseball and football as well. But Stone Phillips found him playing the position he loves best. What makes Bo love him?
By 10:30 a.m. any business day, one company will guarantee delivery of your overnight air packages to more people, places, and businesses than anyone else in the industry. UPS introduces 10:30 a.m. guaranteed overnight air delivery. 62,000 trucks. No waiting.
Call me irresponsible.
Just because the other guy is on the road doesn't mean his mind is. So the superb traction of the Subaru Legacy with four-wheel drive and anti-lock brakes can be quite a comfort. After all, since the next guy is capable of almost anything, shouldn't the same be true of your next car?
Well, I took a cold pill. It's more they take contact with 600 tiny time pills that last up to 12 hours. Finito. Contact saved the day. Thunder!
There's a whole day's work in every contact.
In a world of no-nos, Stouffer's Lean Cuisine offers so many delicious ways to say yes. It feels so right to eat so sensibly.
Someone should talk to you about how much time you spend on the phone.
and who you talk to and when and where. A Sprint representative can easily help you select a savings plan for your personal calling needs. And Sprint has better overall savings than AT&T. So there's a plan that's perfect for you. Unless, of course, you're a teenager. I can't believe it. No one's invented the perfect plan for that.
Bo Jackson, athlete and beat game. But here's the Bo Jackson you've never seen. Husband, father, family man. What makes Bo run? When 2020 continues.
Sunday.
Just take it.
A homeless man brings new meaning to Thanksgiving.
They should feed him. It's just too big a problem.
It's a holiday to remember.
I realized how much I have to be thankful for. I love Thanksgiving.
Life goes on Sunday.
This is an Eyewitness News Brief. Now, here's John Drury.
Good evening. Coming up at 10, a man accused of murdering a convenience store employee is jailed in Northwest Indiana. Tonight, we'll explain how the victim's checkbook helped police find the suspect. Also, it's been a clash between medical ethics and marketing skills. Find out why using scents to sell products could be hazardous to consumers' health. Plus, Notre Dame gets ready for a date with Penn State. We'll show you tonight's pregame celebration tonight.
Yes, persistence pays off. Okay, dinner, catered lobster, plants. Women love men with plants. Hungarian violinists. Where will I find Hungarian violinists?
What do you call a car that has learned to use the wind? A car designed to settle in when you race into it head on and stabilize when it buffets you from the side. Road and Track called it one of the 10 best cars in the world. But it is probably better known as the Infiniti Q45.
Meet 4 heroes who will take you for the ride of your life. Saturday.
What are little boys' dreams made of? Touchdown runs on the gridiron and home runs in an all-star game. What do you call a kid who does both? Well, his mother called him Vincent Edward Jackson, but America knows him as Bo Jackson. Storybook name, fairy tale career. That kid is now a superstar in both baseball and football, and an all-round athlete who, at only 27, has written his autobiography. But what he's most proud of is none of the above. We asked Stone Phillips to find out what makes Bo run and run and run.
Do you ever surprise yourself on the athletic field?
Nope.
Seriously, you never have?
Nope.
You don't?
Amaze yourself a little bit at times? Never. I think what I do out on the field to myself is very average.
There's 2 Bo Jacksons. There's one Bo that's the most awesome baseball player I've ever seen. He's just a tremendous athlete. There's a Bo that is pretty good even when he has a bad day.
People that don't know Bo are the people that have a tendency of saying he's overrated because he's not overrated. There's nothing overrated about Bo Jackson. Zero. Nada. Zilch.
He comes from Alabama, breaking bats across his knee. And they say that as an athlete, he's picture perfect physically. Oh, Bo Jackson, while you pose in shoes and shorts, your teammates talk about you as the gift God gave to sports.
I would like to be in that body just one day and play baseball, just to see what it's like to run that fast and when you get up there to swing that big bat he's got like a toothpick.
He just may be the greatest athlete in the world. He's the only athlete ever to compete at all-star level in 2 professional sports. He's got world-class speed and enormous strength, coupled with surprisingly supple coordination that enables Bo Jackson, the outfielder for the Kansas City Royals, to drive baseballs up the Royal Road to oblivion. Here, in his first All-Star game, Bo hit a home run his first at-bat and went on to win the most valuable player honors for the game. Then, October comes around, and it's on to his part-time job with the Los Angeles Raiders. As a running back, he's the only player in NFL history to run more than 90 yards for a touchdown twice in one season, and his explosive ability excites even the opposing fans.
You could hear the entire crowd go, in anticipation of greatness. There's never been that kind of anticipation of greatness since I've been playing the game, and that's 10 years.
Many believe he is bound for the Hall of Fame in both baseball and football, something no athlete's ever done. And on Madison Avenue, he's already arrived.
Don't I know you?
His extraordinary two-sport career has made him the most recognized and sought-after athlete spokesperson today.
Now where's that Tour de France thing?
His commercial endorsements for Nike, AT&T, and Pepsi, among others, will earn him more than $4 million this year, in addition to his player salaries, which total another $2 million. At age 27, Bo has also arrived on the bestsellers list. He dedicated his new autobiography, entitled Bo Knows Bo, to the only person Bo says is stronger and more stubborn than he is, his mother. He guards his home life in Kansas City the way he guards the outfield at Royal Stadium. Bo Jackson is an intensely private person, but it's here with his wife Linda, a psychologist, and their 3 children that we saw what a natural Bo is off the field as a husband, father, and hobbyist. Bo loves his bow and arrows. Bo also loves his money sports and earns his handsome keep. Though he's never done any serious weight training and only practiced 3 days before hitting the football field this year, he scored 2 touchdowns in his debut. We interviewed him the following day. Are you sore?
Yes, I'm always sore after my first game. In the very first play, I thought they had cut me in half right at the rib cage. Bruised rib, sore shoulder, sore neck from hitting because you don't do that in baseball.
You're right in the book. Football is easy if you're crazy as hell. Baseball's easy if you've got patience. Which of those is the more natural state for Bo Jackson?
I guess you can say the football side.
The crazy side?
Yes. Just simply what I said, you have to be crazy to play that game. And I've been this way all my life.
There are some people who know you well, who say that the first week of the football season, you practically undergo a personality change.
True.
Anxious, a little nervous, perhaps?
Oh,
maybe a little hard to get along with?
Yes. It's just an attitude. It's a mood change.
The switch to football is more mental than physical for Bo, and he admits that the transition brings out a rather nasty and ill-tempered side of him, a side his Raider teammates like to kid him about.
He's the big dog in baseball, but he's by far not the big dog here. There's some big dogs here. He starts his bully routine, and we tell him, yo, wait a second, man, wait a second. You got us mixed up with the shortstop and the third baseman. We're not taking that crap here. Go away.
Bo Jackson's bully routine is a remnant of his childhood here in Bessemer, Alabama. Every year during his 10 days off between the baseball and football seasons, Bo comes back here to visit. He grew up bored and angry on this street that now bears his name, in this house with a working mother who had trouble controlling him. You say in the book that beating up on kids was the only thing you enjoyed in elementary school. True?
Yeah. Beat up on kids, steal bikes, do anything. Just do something, whatever it took to make the day more interesting. So.
You talked in the book also about being angry, feeling angry. What was that about? Growing up?
I guess one thing is because I raised in it, not having a father, just around the house.
You know, it's hard to imagine today, looking at you, that people would have teased you growing up, but that happened too, didn't it? Because of the stuttering?
Yes, had a
in particular.
Very bad stuttering problem when I was young.
And when people would tease you about your stuttering, what would
the hell out of them? Just as simple as that. They just had to pay the piper.
You mentioned in the book that kids also teased you because
you had to wear hand-me-downs from your sister. Your sister's shoes?
Of course. There were times when I wore my sister's shoes to school, and the kids would look at my desk and see the shoes, and they'd say, those are girls' shoes. And I would lie and say, no, those are my shoes. But that's all that I had to wear at that time.
You know, listening to you talk about it today, you're calm, you have some perspective about it all.
Yeah.
Is the angry Bo Jackson still inside of you?
No, I ended that chapter of Bo Jackson, the angry kid, because it wasn't getting me anywhere.
It was here on the athletic fields of McAdory High School that Bo Jackson made his anger work for him and earned a scholarship to Auburn University. In 1985, he won the Heisman Trophy, awarded to college football's best player. But that same year, Bo also tasted criticism in the press for the first time. He was accused by some sports writers of letting his team down in big games by refusing to play with injuries. It's a criticism that still bothers Bo today.
You know, no one has ever questioned Bo Jackson's athletic prowess, but there are those who have questioned your heart. And that's a sore subject with you, isn't it?
The heart, yes. Simply because you got people out there, you got people sitting up in the press box or wherever, making criticism, or they're criticizing the athlete out on the field. Well, this guy isn't playing because of this, or this guy isn't playing because of this. Who the hell are they to judge when it comes to a player's health?
The risk of playing with injuries today could end his incredibly lucrative career. And after growing up so poor himself, the money does matter to Bo.
I want my kids to have the best things out of life. Whenever there's a function at school where the kids have to pay, I don't want my kids to ever worry about, well, I wonder if mom or dad got the money so I could go on a field trip with the kids, which was always something that always scared the daylights out of me. Just walking home from school and waiting till mom get home from work that night and asking her, do she have some money? Do she have $5 that I could have so I'm able to go on the zoo field trip with the kids at school? And 90% of the time, she never had it. And I want things like that to be different for my kids.
You know, there are millions of fans who would tell you that their greatest fantasy, their greatest thrill in life would be to step up to the plate and hit a home run in a major league game or to dive over the goal line, score a touchdown in the NFL. And yet you say your greatest thrill came on August 2nd, 1988.
Yes.
Someone else was carrying the ball.
Yeah, she was carrying the ball, and I was a spectator. And that was when our second son, Nicholas, was born.
And when they actually handed Nicholas to him, I looked over and I saw tears in his eyes. And I said, Vincent, are you crying? Oh, a little bit. He didn't want to really admit to it. But then I guess he says, oh, well, I'm caught, so I might as well admit it. And he did.
Running a 90-yard touchdown, hitting a 500-foot shot off of someone, facing Nolan Ryan, accepting a scholarship to college, and all the wealth and the accolades that have come with my athletic career can't touch that one moment when I was there to see my son come in the world.
We interrupt this interview with Bo, the proud father.
Bo knows calculus.
For a final commercial moment with Bo, the intellectual.
Bo knows all this stuff.
Which raises the question for Bo, the philosopher, about when he's going to give us mere mortals out here a break.
What are you looking at? Nice toga.
Bo's got the perfect body and hardly works at it. Bo runs faster. Bo hits harder. Bo's teammates say he's superhuman. And now we're telling you he's an all-star family man, sensitive, caring, and faithful too? Yeah, I suppose we are.
You say in your piece that he's married to a psychologist. Does that give him some balance? Does she analyze him?
Well, she does. I mean, Bo kids about the fact that, first of all, that she looks like Tina Turner, and laughs about the fact that she's always psychoanalyzing him around the house. But, you know, when Bo gets angry at himself because of the way he played, or for whatever reason, Linda talks to him, they work through it together, it helps Bo, he knows it, and best of all, he says, she doesn't even charge him a fee.
Might get rid of some of the, you know, the anger that he had about his past, you know, his early life, and things were so tough. Where did the name Bo come from? She calls him Vincent.
That's his real name. Bo grew up with 9 brothers and sisters. The name comes from them because he was as tough as a boar hog, only they pronounced it Bo Hog. Shortened it to Bo, and there you have it.
Oh, better to be a boar hog than be pig-headed, right?
Which he's not.
Which he's not. That was fun. Thank you. Interesting.
When we come back, we'll tell you what has happened to a woman who was just a few years ago in the news every day. They even made a TV movie about her. Stay tuned.
The Subaru Legacy is a lot larger than the older Subaru. But people still think we're small and boxy. The Subaru Legacy is plush and comfortable. But people still think we're just basic transportation. With 93% registered in the last 10 years, still on the road. We hope our old image wears out a lot faster than our cars do.
The Remington microscreen shaves as close as a blade, or your money back. Hold it. The Remington microscreen is more than closeness. Listen. That powerful motor makes Remington a quick shave, and its 2 thin, flexible screens adjust for true comfort. The Remington microscreen, quick, comfortable, shaves as close as a blade, or your money back. Atta boy. That's Remington. And the perfect gift for women is the Lady Remington Rechargeable, also with a money-back guarantee.
Did you know? A lot of businesses didn't get the big savings other long-distance companies promised. So they're switching back to AT&T Pro Watts, our discount calling plan. With Pro Watts, you get extremely competitive prices and automatic discounts on international and all AT&T calling card calls. What's more, Pro Watts uses your regular phone lines. With all this and AT&T quality, what are you waiting for? Competitive price, another AT&T advantage.
It's a good thing they have such a strong waistband. Thank goodness they're 100% combed cotton. And fortunately, they keep their comfortable fit. Because if they were anything less than BVD brand underwear, it could be a little embarrassing. BVDs, you're better off with them on.
Starting Sunday.
There's been another murder.
A world premiere television event.
It's coming!
People magazine gives it a grade A.
You killed my little brother. And now you're gonna pay.
Richard Thomas and John Ritter in Stephen King's It. Starting Sunday.
Monday.
You were sprayed.
MacGyver exposes illegal pesticides.
I tested one of his vines.
And the effects are deadly.
You gonna help or not?
MacGyver, Monday.
Scary. Seems to be the nature of modern times that a person can be in the news headlines for months on end and then seem to vanish overnight. That has happened to the subject of this week's Whatever Happened To. She's Mary Beth Whitehead, better known perhaps as the birth mother of baby M. Here's Barbara.
They took a baby away from me, not an egg. That was my daughter. That was Sarah they took from me.
She brought national attention to surrogate motherhood, legally, ethically, and emotionally. Mary Beth Whitehead, married and the mother of 2 children, signed a contract to bear a child for Elizabeth and William Stern. She would be artificially inseminated with Stern's sperm and would receive $10,000 in exchange for the infant. Mary Beth had a baby girl in 1986, and she reneged on the deal. To her, the contract was breakable. The bond between mother and child was not. The Sterns and Whiteheads fought bitterly in court over custody of baby M, and the cameras were glued to the drama. As the child approached her 2nd birthday in 1988, The New Jersey Supreme Court declared the surrogate contract illegal. The court gave custody of the baby to the Stearns, but said that Mary Beth was her legal mother and entitled to visitation rights. Both parents accepted that ruling. So, whatever happened to Mary Beth Whitehead?
Come on, let's go.
She is now Mary Beth Gould, remarried and a homemaker living in New York. She has had 2 more children, Austin, who is 2, and 1-year-old Morgan. Her daughter Melissa, once known as Baby M, is almost 5. Mary Beth is forbidden by the court to publicly show pictures of her. Melissa, now nicknamed Sassy, visits her birth mother regularly. The situation, Mary Beth says, is similar to what happens in a divorce.
Mommy lives in Bayport, Daddy lives in Tenafly, and she seems to be able to handle that fine. It doesn't seem to be a problem.
Mary Beth spends as much time as she can working to ban the practice of surrogacy. She says she hopes no other woman will experience her pain.
I don't think that we can rewrite motherhood for infertile couples. There's got to be another way.
I guess in the interest of balance, we should point out that even though Mary Beth says that she receives many phone calls and letters from surrogate mothers who feel as she does, there are situations in which it does work out that seem to work out satisfactorily for all concerned.
It's complicated, though, isn't it?
And it gets more so as there are more, discoveries and innovations in fertility practices.
Time now to check out with Ted Koppel on what he's preparing on tonight's edition of Nightline. Ted?
Hugh, later on Nightline, as the president leaves for Europe and the Middle East, we'll take a look at some of the mixed messages coming out of the White House to generate support for the administration's policy in the Gulf. And we'll talk with 2 former presidential assistants. Hugh?
That's Nightline after your local news. That does it. That's 2020 for tonight. Thank you for being with us.
As always, we're in touch, so you be in touch. I'm Barbara Walters.
And I'm Hugh Downs.
And for everyone here, good night. We hope you have a good weekend and a happy Thanksgiving, and we'll see you next Friday.
The nesting instinct is a desire to settle down.
Say what?
Couples become placid.
In a Grand Am sedan? Get out of here. This thing's so quick, you'd never know it's a 4-door.
They gladly repress their own desires.
Dream on. Being sensible isn't boring in the Grand Am.
My wife, Sue, always on the go, but she'll drop everything for Campbell's Chunky Soup. With delicious chunks of chicken and noodles, Chunky's quick to satisfy, so she can pick up right where she left off.
Campbell's Chunky Soup, the satisfying stop that keeps you going.
If your feathers have been ruffled by downdrafts in the market, get on board something big, safe, and secure. GetMed. It pays.
I'm Rick Dees. Tonight, Wilson Phillips live right here. Take a stab at $40,000 on the mystery oldie. Alan Thicke will be here too. Let's meet between the sheets. End of the night. Late night tonight.
Saturday, the #1 ranking is at stake at the ATP Tour World Championship. Then Jack Nicklaus, Greg Norman, and Curtis Strange headline the field at the RMCC Invitational. And ABC's College Football presents a classic rivalry as USC meets UCLA or Iowa in a key game against Purdue. It's all Saturday on ABC Sports.
If you wish a transcript of this program, please send $5 to Journal Graphics, 267 Broadway, New York, New York, 10007. This is 2020.
A presentation of ABC News. More Americans get their news from ABC News than from any other source.
America's watching ABC.
I'm Marianne Childers. Eyewitness News at 10 is next. And tonight, suspects in the kidnapping and murder of a teenage convenience store worker are returned to Valparaiso. And we'll take you to an emotional meeting as students demand something be done about harassment on a Chicago campus.
I'm John Drury. Also tonight, $1 million in gems and cash disappear from a local hotel.
and tasty Thanksgiving traditions away from home. These stories and much more next on Eyewitness News at 10.